Paul, welcome to Honestly Speaking with Pritam Das.
Pleasure to be here, my dear friend.
How are you feeling in life in general?
Pretty good. I mean, I'm in Russia, so
Yeah.
of course, politically things could be a bit better.
Hmm.
But generally speaking, for the average person, things aren't so bad. We still got food on our tables, lots of work. People haven't stopped learning English, which is a good thing. Continuing with lots of projects in EFL.
Hmm.
Um, like not enough time, too much work, I would say.
But that has been your life all through, right? Hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've been teaching English for must be about like 16 years or so, 17 years.
Hmm. Hmm.
Initially
Well,
started
almost
teaching
2 decades almost.
pretty much. It's a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I lost my hair long before I was teaching. So I'm bald because of students. But yeah, I actually started teaching German initially because I
Mm.
did a degree in England in German and linguistics.
So
So I was
where,
teaching that in England.
sorry to interrupt, but were you teaching German in Germany or in England
In
or?
England.
Okay.
In England. And I
Okay.
started my English teaching career because I was training in England. I
Hmm.
could not stand the English school system.
Mm.
Flawed, didn't get on
Mm.
along with it, got my teacher's qualification, left,
Yeah.
went to
Yeah.
Germany where I started teaching English. And I kind of
Right.
found this love for teaching and this passion for my own language, a language which was never really explained to me. So it
Mm.
was pretty much self-taught at the beginning, got more qualifications, certified for EFL. And
Right.
then after years in Germany, like decide why not try Russia? And I've been here for almost 16 years.
My goodness. I mean, that is what my question is. All the people, I mean, teachers I know from England, I mean, who
Mm-hmm.
started their career like more or less, I mean, at your time, like 2 decades back, they would rather go to the, European countries, especially the southern part of Europe, that warmer
Mm-hmm.
part. And
Yeah.
if they're looking for something more exotic, they would go to the Asian countries like Vietnam or China or like, Thailand, etc. How did like really Russia happen to you? Like, what
Yeah,
was
it's
what's
an
the story
interesting
behind?
it's an interesting question, mate, because yeah, my father was shocked when I said to him, like the day I was leaving, like, Dad, can you give me a lift to Heathrow Airport? So, oh, where are you going? Spain, Italy, Russia? Like, what? He wasn't particularly. It wasn't that he wasn't impressed. He was more dumbstruck.
Okay.
Why Russia? Yeah, the funny thing is that I was always curious about this country. There was
Hmm.
something mysterious. My initial feelings towards this country were sort of raised when I was living in Germany as a student, because I actually lived in the former East Germany.
Hmm.
So, as a kind of student exchange program for 1 year as a part of my university program. So, I
Hmm.
got to see the old Soviet architecture, the
Hmm.
Soviet influence, the sort of, well, basically communist East Germany, not really
Right.
communist, but I saw the history and it was extremely interesting. And I wanted to see the heart of it. So, yeah, after some time, when I was trying to find my path in life,
Hmm.
I thought, well, the problem in Spain and these European countries in EFL, the pay is actually surprisingly low.
Hmm.
Uh, Even in Germany, when I tried working in EFL in some language schools and doing some self-employed work, the salary really isn't that high. And EFL is seen very differently in Europe and Western Europe as it is in, say, Russia or China or Southeast Asia. There is an extremely different view
But
to it.
like, can you give me an example? Like, what kind of difference are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And my sort of feeling towards this might be controversial, but it's my personal
Yeah,
opinion.
sure, sure.
But sure, but in countries like Spain, Germany, it's seen as like a Mickey Mouse job. It's not seen
Hmm.
as a serious teaching job for a few reasons. Because firstly, a lot of these schools don't provide much training. You don't
Hmm.
often need to be self-qualified. You just need to be a native speaker, or
Hmm.
even not even a native speaker sometimes. The turnover of teacher is really high, so they have teachers working for
Hmm.
them for a few months and they leave because they find something else because the pay is so low. And yeah, it's not seen as like a kind of serious teaching job so much.
Hmm.
Where in Russia, I think maybe Poland to a large extent,
Yeah.
definitely Belarus, China, Southeast Asia. I think because they kind of say that the standard state school system is not very strong when it comes to teaching English.
Hmm.
And
Right.
as a result, there is a huge market in EFL because
Hmm.
parents need to compensate for what their kids don't have in the typical state school classroom. So
Right.
they can spend a lot of money. So there's this huge business for language schools, and they're all over the place. There's thousands of them in Russia.
Right.
And in China, you can earn serious money for teaching in China. Vietnam is really
Yeah.
up and coming when it comes to EFL.
Even the southern part of America, I think, like Mexico, Brazil.
Yeah, exactly. Argentina as well.
Yeah,
There's a big
right.
thing there as well. Big thing. Because generally, when you go to European countries, like say Germany, Scandinavia, Holland, and you actually meet a lot of the locals who speak good English, you ask them, where did you learn English? They will often reply, in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, not in a language school, where it's here in Russia. State school English needs a lot of work. It really needs some improvement. And that, but then on one hand, I hope that it doesn't. Otherwise, I'm out of a job.
Yeah, same thing with in India as well. Like, we our education, like we don't need like EFL. Like I didn't know that EFL, something like EFL existed until I grew up and really like, got into like teaching and, education kind of thing. Then only I got to know about EFL. So, see, my question is, how long have you been teaching in Russia, particularly?
Yeah, about like almost 16, or this September, 16 years.
16 years, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean in Russia.
In Russia, 16 years teaching in Russia.
My goodness, that's a long time. In Russia, how do you see the EFL market and the EFL world altogether? Like 16 years back, Russia, and the Russia right now. Has it changed a lot? The approach of people towards the EFL world?
Yeah, well, if we're talking about just in Russia, I would say the word I would choose would be it has matured. That would be the best word I would use. It has matured. When I first arrived, there were a few big language schools, the ones that had good management. I was working at one of them. Now is not doing so well. And the competition was generally quite laughable. They were just badly run. That's the thing. Bad management, bad recruiting programs.
Right.
And so then after some time, I think around about 2012, 2013, there was a noticeable change in schools. A lot of schools started to pop up, started to attract more students because they had a change in tactic. They realized they needed to be more professional when it came to management and providing a good service. Then lots of online schools popped up, so competition became quite fierce. Then definitely the demand went up because, again, nothing changes in the Russian school. There were people advertising everywhere for their services. So it's become quite a big thing. And I would say one noticeable difference in Russia was that a lot of language schools outside of the big cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg, they really gained momentum. They became a lot better. So initially, the main schools are in the big cities, but now they're everywhere. Even in small towns, you'll actually find some really like proficient speakers of English running their language studios. So the quality has got much better, at least of English, teaching to a large extent. So I would definitely say maturity is a big thing. As for parents' attitude towards EFL, I don't think it's changed. It's just, there's a school, my kids need English, off you go. Kind of thing. That's always been like that. Russians will always spend money on their kids, on themselves, education, always, even in a dire crisis. So that hasn't changed. But yeah, the professionalism has definitely increased. I would say one noticeable difference in EFL in Russia. So even though, as I just said, schools got better, they got more professional, there was a sort of tipping point. I think in about 2018 or so, 2019. When it's typical of many managers to want to rake in the money for themselves. It's like, I'm the school owner, I want to take most of the profits. And teachers are often very, very badly paid in Russia, very badly paid. And as a result, they went solo. They became private tutors. And so now in Russia, the market is saturated with private tutors. And the notion of the language school isn't dying. There's still some very good schools, but there's some kind of negative stigma towards language schools in Russia now. To some extent.
Why is that?
Because they were just badly run. They just don't pay teachers. Like, I don't know how much it's in dollars, but in some regional towns or cities, a teacher can get paid like 300 rubles for an hour, which it basically buys you equivalent of maybe 6 Mars bars, something like 6 Twixes
That's nothing,
per hour. It's nothing. That's the thing. And some of these teachers have CPE, which I prepared them for, or they're self-qualified, Delta qualified, but their pay isn't great. Some can be on 500, 600. rubles in a language school, but most of them, if they're teaching privately, they can get about 2,000, and with that you can actually earn quite well.
Yeah, 2,000. Like you're talking about the teachers, like foreign teachers, or even the local teachers.
This is like standard Russian teachers. The foreign teachers, most of them have left because of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the right now situation, right? I mean, after February 24th, March 24th, what happened? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, basically. Well, it's actually, I would say over the past few years, it's been like this. The situation, the special operation hasn't changed anything.